what that illustrates is that leadership that was put at Olobas at Waterlines Junction has created some kind of. They're not Germans. They're not Americans. They're still garrison. They are Nigerians. But something has changed in life generally. When you have sanctions that are put in place and are implemented, conduct is regulated and conduct is guided. Of how they are even people who can think into leadership positions such that they can create these regulations that can mold is that the cancer has spread around the body and there's no doctor, there's no medical person, there's no surgeon who is sane enough to say that in order for me to be able to sustain this life for this long, I must intervene in this regard. In order for me to be able to get this person to be able to go about doing things normally again, I must do this. This is our predicament in our country. Is that the people of the Nani, throughout yesterday I was thinking that they invest in their communities, they invest in their societies, they invest to. Should we assume correctly, or should we assume that what the minister of the Niger Delta said yesterday, that both the chairman of the committee and the deputy chairman of the committee have their hands in the jar? Should we assume that? It would only mean that those people took the monies that belong to the people of Niger Delta to their region, because these people are not of the Niger Delta. They are of certain regions. So poverty has so much been weaponized. And talk about this thing, because this really is an insult, an injustice to our collective psyche, to what we represent as people of Niger Delta. What can we do? And he said, so we sat down and we said we're going to take XYZ action. XYZ action. By the time we computed the cost of taking XYZ action, the question that one of us in the meeting asked was, how do we get this cost? How do we get this finance to prosecute this thing that we think is justice, that we think the Niger Delta people need to reawaken their consciousness that they are not incapacitated? Because as it stands, Annie, across the 9 Niger Delta states, it seems like we are in a graveyard. Graveyard silence is what we see. The professors are talking in their classrooms. The market women are talking in their market spaces. The doctors are communing and they are having chit-chats in their consulting room. Nobody truly is speaking to the issues on how we can fix the Niger Delta and have the Niger Delta delivered to us. But you see, we got together to say we should do this. And the summation was that we needed cost to do it. And people began suggesting, how do we get this cost? Who do we go to get this money? Oh, should we go to this person? Should we go to that person? And this brings me back to the fact that poverty has been weaponized. So the people are handicapped that we have just allowed that the birds should come into our barn and make away with all of our harvest that we have gathered for many years. I am saying today here that unless and until we as a people can get the best of leaders in position, we would not be able to take actions collectively that can help them address and redress this issue. See what was happening yesterday? Mr. Akpabio was saying that, it was about saying that both the chairman and the deputy chairman are involved in the corruption. And you notice what happened with the deputy chairman, the person who was sitting. He kept on saying to Akpabio that it's enough. As soon as he perceived that was the direction Akpabio was going, he kept on shouting that is enough, and was hitting the gavel on the table because he did not want that exposed. And see the most unfortunate thing, Annie, that was not exposed. The Niger Delta story is not going to be different. This story will go unpursued, we go without the people showing their displeasure like that of Embe. We go without the people showing their displeasure like that of Aruna Ote. We go like that of Farouk Lawan. If you saw what happened in the days of Otedola and Farouk Lawan, you thought that Nigeria was already ripe for justice. You thought that Nigeria was going to do the right thing for the very first time. But see what happened today. Farouk Lawan is somewhere. Otedola is somewhere. Ote is somewhere. This is Act 3, Scene 3 is going to come,
and
it's going to go,
nowhere.
and nothing is going to go until we address the issue of leadership question, that somebody can give direction like has been given at Waterlines. Nigeria's case is going to be like that cancer that has spread all through the cells of the body, and indeed is very unfortunate.
It sounds very much like I don't know if it was with you here in the studio when we talk. I think that was with what's his name now, Magu. When we're saying, I think it was with you.
Yes, it was.
When we said with Magu, at the end, Magu will pull his own dossier out.
Yes, and nothing would happen.
Okay. So Magu, you know this. You say, yes, I know you did it.
Yes.
You buried them over there. You buried that over there. Yes. Then there's, okay, Magu, we know you also buried your own there.
Yes.
So let's exchange.
They'll cancel one another.
And let's go home. Because, I mean, with what's going on with the NDDC, if the NDDC is trying to accuse the managers of NDDC of mismanagement, and already we're hearing that, but you know that
part of it.
You helped us to mismanage. I'm just thinking that at the back door they'll be telling each other, let's
we shouldn't have started.
There will have been a meeting last night.
We shouldn't have been back on.
As of last night, we started discussing, how
they will agree on presentation today.
Because
you saw the speaker now. Mashabi Amila even had to come online.
He says Ponda will not come again. He says yes. He said excuse.
Mashabi Amila came.
When I heard that, I said
the only problem that they're having among them is, look, why did you bring somebody like John in here? Why did you bring those who are shaking table? Who brought us to this point? That's the problem they have.
Our table was not stable.
Didn't you do proper search?
Now.
Didn't you do proper before you appointed these kind of persons? Because that's the problem you have in Nigeria. Didn't you know that there are certain persons you shouldn't appoint because we can't control them? Because what is happening now to NDDC is like we have been controlling this thing for all this year, nearly 20 years. How did you manage to bring this sort of people? Didn't you look at the kind of person you're appointing?
They are not malleable. These people are not malleable. These people cannot be bent. And speaker came, and as soon as speaker began speaking, I said that. So why is the speaker here now? Exactly why? Because the speaker needed to give direction, a different direction. A man was fainting. Annie, a man was fainting. There was a doctor who said that, and he was on air and he was saying to the Nigerian people that I've been in practice for over 35 years as a doctor. I have no reason to dip my hands in the till of the NDDC.
Indeed.
I was infuriated and irritated that a person was having syncope or was passing out, and a doctor was standing by and not doing anything. It took somebody who is not a doctor to come and put his hands like Samson holding the mouth of the lion with the mask, attempting to give CPR with his mask, with his COVID-19 infected hand. He was holding the mouth of the, and all he did was to take his hand to touch the man's chest. You saw his hand just move in the direction of the man's chest. He just used his finger to scratch his chest and took it back, and he was standing there. And I was irritated. Because this man had said to us when they were interviewing him that he was a medical doctor of 35 years standing, and he had no reason whatsoever to put his hand, dip his hands in the till. This is time for you to quote and unquote show workings. Show workings as a medical doctor. What first aid was necessary? If you were just by the side of your colleague that was dying, what first aid was necessary that you were taught in medical school? Show workings. He stood there, he did nothing. The man who did not go for the training came, and that is what happens in Nigeria. They are putting square pegs in square holes. How do you put a doctor to be ED of projects in NDDC?
No, he could be.
ED.
No, he could be. I mean, you don't have to study project management before you become
Before
executive
you
director.
become one.
Dr. Sado, I differ. Because a person who does not know,
especially when the person you're appointing says for 35 years he was dedicated in doing something.
So go to
political office.
Dr. Sado, a political office that requires certain level of competence. Go to Ebonyi State today. The governor of Ebonyi State is an engineer. Go see the roads that they are constructing in Ebonyi State today. I've been there personally to experience it. There is no road. I can say that, and I stand to be called. I need anybody to call and challenge. No road currently being built in Nigeria that you can compare with the roads that David Umahi is building.
Are you now saying that people like us who are not engineers should not be governors?
No, we're not saying saying no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that.
What about the roads in Akwa Ibom State? Excuse me.
Which one?
The roads in Akwa Ibom State.
The one that Fabio built. Don't forget that.
It's okay.
Okay, it's okay, man. No roads currently. So you need certain level of competence. That's why doctors are ministers of health.
So Andy,
it's not to say
it's not to
I'm thinking about it.
It's not to say that you cannot have lawyers who can function in the capacity as ministers of health, or you cannot have engineers.
Okay.
Doctors are there because they understand the rudiments. They understand the lingua, what it takes particularly to have that discipline, to have that ministry function optimally.
Okay.
You cannot bring Dr. Cario to make the whatever of NDDC, and NDDC will not have what they have.
It's okay.
I will off your mic now.
Off my mic. And it's unfortunate, and our people who are very learned are using such words like off your mic.
Yes,
you are either turning it off or you're switching it off.
What do you mean?
Nigerians, when you hear that from the president to the governor, you hear them bring that statement and make this thing. You are wondering if they ever went to
school.
It's okay.
Off your mic.
It's okay.
I had a problem with Andy's mic off. We need to off
it. Just press up and let him go off there.
Please, we know how to off mics. That's what we know. Don't tell us to put it off. Put what? Off it. All right, then, Andy, thank you so much. We're going to take a break here because, I mean, with the scandal of NDDC and what's going on, like Andy said, you know, you've got corruption in every sphere. So what we're expecting that we'll be smelling roses in this probe? It's going to be stinking. That's what we expect. But whether we'll be able to clean up that stink is another thing altogether. We'll wrap up on that segment. I'll take a quick break, but we'll come back. It's Real Talk. You're still listening to Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People.
Court, are you ready? Today 95.1 FM, the Voice of the People.
Real talk.
Real talk.
But I mean,
it is the head that is supposed to push the followers.
Today 95.1 FM, we bring you insights, intrigues, and happenings on the local politics of the Niger Delta.
But if that property you have somewhere worth that 1 billion is tied to a fraud of state money, if you can prove it's your personal money, you didn't commit any crime.
Join us every weekday, 9:45 a.m. to 11 a.m. Real Talk. Keeping it real.
40 gone past 10. Welcome. And for Real Talk, River State Governor Nyesom Ezenwa-Wike says that prudent management of resources has led to massive infrastructural development in the state. According to him, despite the economic downturn in the country, the state's development agenda is still on course. Addressing journalists after the inspection of ongoing projects in the state, Governor Wike said he would leave a lasting legacy that will remain indelible in the hearts of Rivers people at the expiration of his tenure in 2023. And this is what he said, and I quote, "We are going to spread development projects across the 23 local government areas of the state. Numerous development projects are completed and ongoing across the state despite the COVID-19 pandemic because of our prudent management of scarce resources. Rivers people will see more development projects until the end of my tenure. It is important that when you are given an opportunity to serve, you leave behind legacies that will make people to remember that you are the one that provided a lot of infrastructure that enhanced economic activities. As far as I'm concerned, from 2015 to 2023, I want to be remembered by the quality of projects I provided for my people. With prudent management of scarce resources, we'll be able to achieve. Despite the economic downturn, we're not giving excuses, but delivering our promises," he said. The governor expressed satisfaction with the level of work done by Julius Berger Nigeria PLC, despite embarking on 3 major flyovers simultaneously, including the expansion of the Rumola flyover. He noted that Julius Berger Nigeria PLC has the capacity to deliver on projects, hence his insistence that reputable companies execute projects for the state government. "It's amazing when you see a good job done and you're happy for the money you have spent. I am sure that the residents of the state are happy. These projects started in October last year, and this is July, and they're almost completed. I'm impressed with what I have seen and happy that it is in my tenure that these infrastructures are being built. I've told Rivers people to be patient, and more projects will be provided for them," the governor added. Some of the projects inspected included the ongoing construction work at the official residence of the Speaker of the State House of Assembly in Old GRA, Woji Road, and Opobo Crescent in New GRA, and also the Rebisi flyover. So these were some of the projects that were to be delivered in any which case. And the governor said it's prudent experience. And he says by the time he's done in 2023, the people of Rivers State all across the 23 local government areas will remember him for the good projects he has delivered. This comes up again because of his recent inspection of projects. But I know I've mentioned something about this in the past. But you see, regardless of what the rest of the people of Rivers State may say as it concerns development strides in other local governments apart from two, I don't think that is the same sentiment the governor shares. He still believes that he's doing a lot of projects in the remaining local government areas apart from Falga and Obiako. And that by the time he's done, he really have impacted in the lives of these people via his projects. There's also the argument that pretty much the projects are just centered on road building, and they would like to see much more that can change the economic capacities of the people of the River State other than just having road networks improved upon. Manuel.
Yes, the governor of Rivers State is infrastructurally transforming Rivers State, even if it's concentrated on Obiakwa and Falga, even though it shouldn't also be that way. But one problem I have is that now you might see, even if in this Obiakwa and Falga, you see the projects. You also go maybe in selected local governments, and you see certain infrastructural development also done by River State government. That's an accolade for him, especially being that he is the governor of River State. But I want to ask a question. Governor, how do we assess you? Yes, because that's my personal worry. You certainly, all these things, there must be an appropriate.
Are you not seeing
No,
the
I'm
project?
coming. Even if I see the projects and I look at the projects, they are solidly delivered, for instance, by Julius Beja, as he said. Mm-hmm. I am talking about, you said it's 20 naira that this thing will cost. Where is the budget? To find out exactly what was allocated to this, let's say whether there could be a supplementary because it wasn't finally enough and all that. Nothing. How do people assess? That's my worry. It's not that the projects are not going. They certainly are going. And I believe the prudent management is talking about, he might be executing that prudently. But it is only when you have a template to assess that this thing was 20,000 and then, maybe 15,000 was used. There is maybe prudently it was managed. You don't see the budget. I don't understand. So personally, I've always said, I think I have limited comments on this because I can't assess that with veracity.
All right, Emmanuel, got your position on that, Dr. Austin Sato.
You know, when you get to a contract site, a project site rather, there is a project board.
The board, yes, where they have the name of the contractor.
Have you seen any project board in this country that has the value of the contract?
I'm not sure.
Could somebody please help me? You went to a contract and you saw the board and you see the amount of money for that contract. That's what you know. When somebody talks about prudence, because for me, the operational word there is prudence. Yeah. It's not the project; it is that we are prudent. That's why we're able to deliver. Now, if you are prudent, it means that you are looking at the scarce resources, the available money. If we don't know the amount of money that's available, how can you make claim of being prudent? Now, I had an experience. We had a project in my union, and I called the contractor, and I said, please, the board is not there. Put the board there, the project, the name, supervisors, and the amount for the project. And he said, first, he told me that he doesn't want kidnappers to come after him. I said, what is the problem? He said, when they see the amount of money on the board, they would think that the money is in his pocket or in his bank. I didn't. Somehow it made sense to me because of, the prevailing circumstance. When we finished the project and we're commissioning the project, I insisted I was going to mention the amount of money we spent on doing the project. So while I was making presentation at the commissioning, I mentioned the amount of money we spent, including the furnishing. And when we finished, I was accosted. Why are you trying to make everybody look like a thief? And I said, what's the problem? How could you have come publicly to say that this project cost so amount of money? And you are making people in other areas feel now that the other projects are too expensive. And I said to myself, this is not government money. It is the money contributed by members of our union. Shouldn't I account to them? Shouldn't I tell them how much money they've contributed and what we have used? He said, no, it's not. That's not the issue. The issue is that there are other projects going on within this environment. And what you have done is to make it look like people are stealing. That's the country where we are in. That's the country we are in. I became a bad guy because I told people that we spent so amount of money to do this thing. And some of the people who were also trying to make sure that they pull me down aligned themselves with those who are chasing me, and I was hiding my life. I was running. I could come to a place and park my car and leave the car there as a decor and take public transport to go to where I'm going to. So when people talk about the governor is not likely to have that challenge of security.
Yeah.
So tell us how much. If I were to be the governor, every road constructed, the mileage will be there, the cost will be there. That's how you show accountability.
And prudence.
And we now know that you are prudent because the money is not enough and you are delivering on that. I was passing through Elelemo Akpajo Road yesterday and it rained and I wept. You can see that the road is okay. At least I'm not an engineer, but at least it's okay. The way we see it.
Maybe we should ask him.
Yes, and there is underground drainage or something, but the road was covered at some point, part of the road. And I'm asking myself, there is a stream down there at Romokroshi. How do we have a road here less than 500 meters or 1,000 meters to that natural drain, and this place is flooded? How do we have that? The one that is even so annoying is the one that is by oil mill, by MTN. Each time it rains, they've tried to do something there. The river is just 10 meters away. Mm-hmm. And each time it rains, that place is flooded. Another embarrassment is Aba Road by Air Force, Market Junction. It happens all the time. So there are indices to measure these things. I'm not satisfied anyway, because if we don't know how much you're spending to make a pot of soup, and you claim that your soup is better than the other person, we can't judge you. We want to know how much is spent.
Simple.
If you are spending 5 naira, let's know that you are prudent to spend 5 naira, because there are people who will still do the same project and spend 100,000. So if you use 5,000 to do it and you deliver, you are a prudent manager. These words are not things. Like I tell people, it's not, the governor shouldn't tell us how prudent he is. He should allow us judge him and determine that he's prudent.
All right,
and the way to allow us do it is to give us all the variables involved in the construction.
There was that for the 3 bridges that time. About how much did they say they paid? I think he mentioned it, 60-something billion. I can't remember.
That's
I get the exact
it's
figure.
difficult to remember, and that's why we should have where
I will
tabulated.
get the figure as the conversation continues. Though, Dr. C.H. Chinwa, at least we know that for the bridges being built by Julius Berger. Any other thing else? I'm not sure. We have details.
Well, Inoani has said here earlier that. It seems that the stage we are in Nigeria is the stage of, let's just see the project. Let's thank God that we have a road we are passing through. Maybe we haven't gotten, unfortunately, for a nation like this, this is terribly obvious, a shame to say. But it's like we have not even gotten to the point where we ask the question, how much? Now, so if we take that first stage, which I wish we are not in, if we take that stage and the governor is conscious of history, I would say that's good. For instance, I come from Origwe, I live there. And from 1979, I've been seeing politicians, they use that road as a campaign subject. We are going to do this road for you, Origwe Road. But the governor came in 1 year and did that road. See, me, I said, whoever will construct Origwe Road, oh God, I'll ask you to forgive all his sins. It's been difficult for me to change that prayer.
Really? Now you want us to forgive the sins?
That's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying it's been difficult for me, even if the governor hurts me personally. It's difficult for me to say, because I know what, Annie, you buy a car in 1 year, you will be so ashamed of calling your mechanic over and over again. But this man came and did that road. So we're happy. We will remember him for that. But the question will also arise, where it will now turn the other way. If my son wakes up tomorrow, Daddy, this road is fine. No, how much did it cost? And I can't tell him. It will be actually a problem, especially if he reads that in those days we used to have what we call tenders board. We have to have what we call bidding. We have to have what we call opening of bids, and then selection of bids and all that. And then today, if he is going to a political office, he doesn't even know that happens. So you can do something and we are remembered. But what you didn't do, which may you think is inconsequential, because what will take away from the credibility of what you have done. I would have wished that the governor, with all this, he's doing great projects. I mean, I've mentioned, I used to be in UST, Faculty of Law. He came and the thing I'm passionate about, he came and changed the face of the place. I'm grateful. But I think we need to get to the point where we advance further. I wrote recently, he's a political scientist, he's a lawyer. And so, Rivers State should benefit from his learning in those two areas. Appoints a tenders board, or as we have the public procurement bureau. I wish that bureau is working, and that bureau will be able to tell us, independent of the governor, that the 4 or 5 bridges are being constructed, very good work, that this is what these bridges are worth. So that if tomorrow we want to go to Ahoda and build another bridge of similar length and size, we know that this is what we will expect. And then researchers can say, okay, constructing a bridge in Port Harcourt, the difference between it and Ahoda is this. It's just as a society grows. We're having a society where one man does this project and goes, we don't know how he arrived at it, another man goes. So we keep learning from the beginning every time. So I will, in line with what the man, Dr. Sadam said, I will advise the governor to think that way. On the other side, when people are complaining about Obiabo and all that. Yes, it's the name of Obiabo, so it may seem I'm being... but you see, let people understand something. When you go to London and come back, all you mention of London, you know that there are places like Origwe in London.
No, we know.
I don't know.
We know there's Leicester, there's Birmingham.
But the Origways of London.
I'm coming. Now, you know what I'm saying? People, quite unfortunately, we assess the states by the urban area. When you go to, I mean, do you know that some places in the city in Gwagwalada, you won't believe that in Abuja when you look at Buhari and all those Garki areas. So what I'm saying is that maybe it's because of we the people, the way we assess our leaders is just so materialistic that they forget or they refuse to do something that people will not see because they are judging them by what they are saying. Every day is governor didn't build road. Governor build. He said, "Hey, fly over." So the man realizes that when I built school, I wasn't remembered at Ndoni. I mean,
no one is building.
I'm coming now. I mean, the Indonesia, the shore protection thing. I mean, he did so well.
No, he hasn't started shore protection in Indonesia.
Governor Wike did so well in Indonesia that all the living said. I remember them very well. He said, even I myself didn't do for Ndoni what Governor Wike has done there.
Really?
Yes, he said it.
Really?
No, he said it now.
No, but the people of Ndoni are saying they haven't done anything. So if you have one,
I don't know.
On Saturday, I can take you to Ndoni to. I want to show
I'm
the project.
saying what I heard on TV live. What Governor?
Former Governor Odili.
I don't this pronunciation. You said the pronunciation.
Odili.
What the Governor Odili said when Wike did commissioning of shore protection project at Ndoni. He said, even me, I didn't do for my people what you have done. Do you understand? So I don't know. Dr. Sado is.
It could be.
I don't know. There's a project. I don't think that one was done under the wiki. That's what I'm thinking.
No, I'm saying
that there was a project.
I remember it as if it's yesterday.
Okay.
I remember as if it's that National Assembly that when Odili was president. So let me just conclude before you hold the mic. Let us also learn as people to assess our governance beyond mere physical shows, so that they can begin to do more lasting things. Steve Organ, one of the previous River State speaker, Organ said, if you don't develop the people and build all infrastructure, the people you don't develop will destroy the infrastructure.
That is which for me is where I'm.
And government need to focus on that.
Human development.
Human development is absolutely, with all due respect to him,
it's almost non-existent.
It's there.
All right, then let's move on to Andy Akotive.
So Abraham Maslow in his theory, hierarchy of needs, had spoken about certain things where he talked about the first level being physiological needs. He had said that unless and until you had satisfied the physiological needs, you didn't move to the next level, which was safety needs. Unless and until you had satisfied the safety needs, you didn't move to social needs, self-esteem, and self-actualization. It would be a travesty to have a person move to self-actualization when the physiological needs were not satisfied. I started from this angle because I wanted to explain certain things regarding what CJ I just spoken about.
Okay.
That in London you would see that the city of London is really very beautiful, whereas in Birmingham and
Birmingham is beautiful
certain cities,
Manchester is beautiful.
Yeah. So
Liverpool is beautiful.
The question before you decorated London, you ensured that the bare necessities, the basics,
were provided in
at
other
the
ones.
other centers had been provided.
Yes.
What we have in River State, I'm not saying that we should not decorate Obiakwa and Port Harcourt, but is that the case in River State? The other centers, have we provided the bare necessities that can make people live and lead a good life? And you see, I have a big problem in Nigeria because very recently I began to check myself again whether I understood the meaning of certain words as used by some of our leaders. So every time they use those words, I quickly check the English dictionary. And you're going to permit me to explain from the dictionary what prudence is.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first meaning is sagacious in adapting means to ends, circumspect in action, or in determining any line of conduct, careful, discreet, sensible, opposed to rash. Second meaning is practically wise, judicious, and shrewd. Third meaning, frugal, economical, and not
I'm sure that's what he's saying.
And not extravagant.
I'm sure that's what he meant.
So
frugal.
I'm wondering right now that is this the meaning that the governor, intended to communicate to people? And before I explain what I want to explain regarding the governor's statement, let me quickly note for those who are the spin doctors to the governor and may want to come out hard on me. Let me quickly note that my personal resource was used to send goodwill messages to the governor when he was re-elected. And the 8 radio stations, including your radio station, Today FM, aired my personal message to congratulate the governor, congratulate Right Honorable Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, congratulate Dakuku, congratulate, and it was a different message. 8 radio stations, 1 television station, and it was on social media. My personal fund. So they must understand that don't judge me so harshly because I'm going to say certain things regarding what the governor terms prudence. First off, if by the definition of prudence, like we have seen in the dictionary, you just suo motu pronounce certain project into existence without passing it through budget, would you say that you were prudent by this definition? And I need listeners to right now go Google that definition. So the governor sits and says, Rumola Bridge, I want to make it Dwa right now. I'm wondering where in the budget of either of 2019 or 2020 did we make that projection that we're going to do that for Rumola Bridge? Oh, Garrison Bridge, after you had spent millions of naira to decorate Garrison, You bought poles that we had not seen before in the history of this country. And when we heard the amount that you spent building that roundabout, we were sufficiently intimidated by those amounts. Now, suddenly, you wake up and you say that roundabout was no longer necessary. You were going to change it. You destroyed the roundabout and you said you were going. What is shrewd? What is shrewd? What is prudent about that decision? Is that a decision that you can call? That's why I say when we speak English in this country, our leaders speak English. I'm wondering what is shrewd in that decision. How does a governor just veto into existence projects that were never contemplated before? It did not pass it through due process. That's one level of the truth. The second level, and which Dr. Ado has so wonderfully described. I mean, you could not say I was shrewd if this pair of suit I was wearing, if I told you I bought it 100,000 naira, and you knew you could buy this same design, this same gray color for 50,000 naira, would you say Andy Akpotiwe was shrewd? Or Andy Akpotiwe was prudent? Prudence would mean if you were comparing two things, the person who spends the least resource to get the same quality, mark my word, the same quality of goods, the same quality of commodity, the person who spends the least resource is the most prudent. So today, Dr. Sado had explained very succinctly and vividly to us how that the amounts that we're expending on projects are those amounts the best that we can get to have those projects delivered to us. So if we're building flyover at 100, that's why I was not so excited about Akpabio's project in Akwa Ibom. If we're building a project of 300 billion naira and somebody else in Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, delivers a better quality of that project at 100 million naira, who would you say is more prudent between Dave Umahi and the person who's delivered that project with 300 million? Certainly it will be Dave Umahi. So nobody comes to us and attempts to pull a wool over our eyes and attempts to create a new definition of prudence in our hearts by just saying that it's prudent, when in actual fact, if you were punching the calculator, you would know that there is no iota of prudence in everything that this person had done. We have just seen how that the River State is about decreeing project into existence. And I sent a letter to 36 state governors in this country through DHL. And I stated in that letter that I could ensure that they got qualitative and affordable health care to everybody resident in their states. And 2 states alone responded, Nasarawa and Ekiti State. All the other states, including River State and Delta State, my 2 states. I sent 2 letters just in case they did not see the first one. DHS sent me back the copy of receipt. 2 letters, 36 state government. I'm on air, I'm saying it. I have copies of
so
it.
What? Maybe they had a better offer, a more prudent offer.
He's just talking of response. He's just talking of response.
Maybe they didn't. They didn't think they need to respond to that. Somebody came up with something more prudent.
Yes, and so in prudence, we must understand that is it so much about physical projects. The governor, I recall vividly, said that, he was going to tackle refuse. A couple of days ago, and I was driving in 9 back home, just on NTA Road. I saw refuse. I saw trash that they stashed on the median. And I wept for this state. I saw how that those people who you call those malams, how they were, scattering the refuse and everything. And I said to myself
Scavengers.
that with just one person who can think, and then again, I don't want to sound too superfluous. With just one person who can think, we can fix that issue, and it will result in employment. It will result into certain things. But they are not thinking about. They are thinking about building bridges.
The trucks make their rounds in the night, so they go around and then they scoop this from the median.
Yeah. So Annie, I'm talking about 10:30. I was going back and I saw that. Should we even have that?
Don't look at
Should we have such a system in effect? So you built a fantastic road. And you built a fantastic road that we all want to see. And at night, people bring such rubbish and throw on this road.
According to Emmanuel Undukwe, what were you doing outside at 10:30?
people bring such rubbish.
I was going to ask that question.
What were you doing at 10:30?
You may need to off my mic now. You may just need to off my mic. I think that question is too hard. You can give me single, and I may just faint in the studio right now.
We'll open your mouth. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. All right, this is the point where I've got to to have our listeners be part of the conversation, I need you to send us text messages. Send them to 070-1933-9962. Those are the numbers for the SMS portal and also the text message portal. Emmanuel, what was the very first story we carried?
Yeah, the first one was on Akpabio and federal lawmakers.
All right, good. So where there was an exchange of,
yes,
you have 60% of the contracts anyway. So what are you talking about?
It's okay, erupted.
All right, and it's okay. Erupted.
Then River State government, the one we just talked about.
And of course, the governor of River State says the projects are ongoing, and the only reason that is going on is because he's prudent with the finances. For River State. He's also mentioned the fact that he wants to be remembered as the governor who was able to impact Rivers people with these beautiful projects. He's also said that the projects are to help spur on economic activities. Of course, part of the conversation we had is have all the other parts of the local governments enjoyed this too, at least seemingly, maybe not as much as Obiakwa and Port Harcourt, local government area, but what kind of projects are they also receiving? And they need to see more on human capital development. And finally, we touched on the prudency to which he alluded to. How do we even get to quantify that if certain informations are not available? All right, so do send your thoughts to us. We'll be looking at them in just a moment. You can call the phone lines here, 0810-9510-951. Or 0817-000951. Those are the numbers for the studio. I'd like to hear from you on any of the issues here discussed. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister Annie.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, my name is Ibi. I'm calling from Port Harcourt. I do to Chief Emma and my brother Botije.
Good morning.
Thank you. Let me start from the last discussion about prudently management of River State Fund by the government. I want to say that His Excellency Governor has never been prudent since I know him in River State. Why do I say so? Remember the 117 billion he saved in a separate account that he withdrew from Zenith Bank. That was the time of recession, and we never knew that River State have such amount of money. My brother, I took my calculator and calculated what 1 billion naira is. 100,000 naira every day you are earning, don't bring back change. You eat it for 38 years of your life, and it will remain 70-something million naira. That is what 1 billion naira is. Every day, don't bring back change. That's 1 billion naira. And somebody said he awarded project of flyovers for over 21 billion without passing the issue of Procurement Act. What is Procurement Act? He said he has paid 70% upfront and we paid the remaining 30% once they get to 90% of the project. Why Procurement Act states that you will advertise, people will bid. Okay, let me assume you want to use a security fiat to give the job to better. You first of all pay them 30% after they have mobilized to site. And they have gone to 70% of the job, you pay for 40%. Then when they finish the job, you now pay 20% and withhold 10%. After 6 months or 1 year, if there's something wrong with the road, you now pay the remaining 10%. But our governor, the prudent management governor, has paid 70% upfront. And you tell me it's prudency. Let me leave that side.
All right.
Let's talk about the matter and end this saga. My sister woman, my brother man. Now so we go today. This man has look at I'm not joining accused about you of awarding himself 30 distinct and water ascent projects. Take 30 water ascent projects, 3 million naira times 30 is about 300 million naira. That is the first project you collected. That money was supposed to be for youth to clear the waterways, grasses, or that is blocking the creeks. But one person took that money. We are talking about the roads. Now, I understand from my calculation that they've awarded all the roads, including to some roads, that all are on flying projects. We can see the money high. And yet, somebody comes to tell me that our man is doing us, that the Yoruba man is with something else. Now, so we go there. They should hold all of them.
All right.
It's good that they're all dancing, how they're eating our yam in our van. My name remains Business from Port Harcourt.
Good news. Thank you so much. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. All right, do call back if you can. Lost that connection. Annie, you can see is our brothers, that are killing us. Imagine NDDC, Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, 13% allocation all to us. And no budget is less than 5 billion. Still, we're blaming the Hausa man. There is God. This is from Opobo Boy. I'm Ernest from Woji. In other parts of the world, you steal money, you're called to defend yourself. If you can't, you go to jail. In Nigeria, you're called to defend. When you hear the billions you allegedly stole, even your spirit will be shocked. And all you need to do at that point is to faint. Boom, they rush you to a hospital and it's all over. For the doctor, because Governor Wike constructed your road, you can't criticize him. You forgot that it's not all communities that has roads. This is from Ernest from Woji. Well, he did say that. He said, look, my hands are tied here. In fact, he begged me to off his mic. And considering the drama with NDDC, things would never get better. I suggest that NDDC should be unbundled, let a bureau in charge of the Niger Delta critical infrastructures be created at the presidency so that the same principle used to develop the FCT be applicable to Niger Delta using its master plan. This bureau should be manned by only professionals. James Opongua from Zoba, you sent that in. You also said considering, all right, okay, it's the same thing. Annie, good morning. It's not about leaving a legacy or remembering Wike. The question should be, what is the cost and the impact of the projects and the people? After all, when we passed the monorail, we remember Amechi. Annie, it's not about the legacy. It's the project spread across the state. This is from Jaja.
Creative.
And the River State is not just like NDDC, invisible budgets, fake Julius Berger company, and what? How is it fake Julius Berger company? And one-sided development of Obiakwa and Port Harcourt City. How much was budgeted on those projects, Mr. Governor? You're only prudent to Obiakwa and Port Harcourt City. Your pocket alone. Murphy from Okomoko Iche sent that in. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
We saw Ijaw leaders and got Urubebe that is not only Niger to them. So that is what is playing now. Their council or to go and work in a ministry or to go and do something. But in Nigeria, if you are not well known, if you are not working with those that have the as I said to you, from Ministry of Niger Delta to Israel through 90 days, Tony Anene has gone. Nobody was able to question Tony Anene. Bench the godfatherism in the control to Niger Delta. He will get it out. But for issue of River State, I want to beg Andrew Apato to off his phone. It was too late to cry. That's why he said he congratulated them. When you congratulated the JOPT for them to be in office, what do you expect for? At the end of the day, who is going to pay the money? And you see that the project, that is not prudent.
The doctor you mentioned, yeah, I guess. Yeah. Good morning, Annie. On Port Harcourt City local government. To me, he concentrates more on Wimpy and Mile 4 only. Because no state government presence in these areas, or are they not part of Obiakpo local government area? Or like you send that in form of Bogoro. Sonny from Onea says, considering NDDC, my sister, issue of re-urbanization of Port Harcourt City by Governor Wike led the indiscriminate dumping of refuse on road medians gets me worried them. As I speak as a professional environmental engineer. Newton, you send that in from Port Harcourt. Annie, you finally heard it from the horse's mouth, which is the reason you've refused to read my message. Nothing. Harry should bring in foreign firms to do the auditing as a sincere proof in his fight against corruption. So blessings to Andy Akpotive. May his days be elongated for boldly debunking the prudence claim by the River State governor, especially on the charade at Garrison Junction. Good morning, Annie and the guests at the studio. This is also from Ima. So I want to know how Opunabo and Kotaria's analysis are usually like. Emmanuel, do you have an idea?
I don't know.
All right. Good morning. If this type of governor mistakenly becomes our president, we'll cry more than we are crying now. What we hear from him is, look at Iche, Chokocho, no gutter, everywhere is flooded. What makes him prudent? Good day, crew. Former governor of Osun State built 5 massive flyovers compared to Mr. Prudence in River State. Wale, you send that in. The way Akpabio was laughing before the hearing, I just knew he was going to shake the table. For River State, imagine Trump constructing roads and bridges without budget, no matter how beautiful it is. Don't you think America would collapse? Ernest from Woji, you sent that into. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Hello, Annie. Good morning.
Good morning, DK.
Thank you. My greetings to your guests in the studio. I don't know how somebody will talk about how that money has been spent and what is remaining. For me, a vision into the project. And have you maximized, push into a situation where they can hardly even ask of how much is the worth of contract, whether it is inflated or not. All they are even interested is effectiveness, that it is even done. Because in the first place, if it is not done at all, what will happen? No. But for me, I spend it. Even this fly.
Annie, good morning. Good morning to all the guests in this country. And each one is for 7